And welcome back to Clear Skies Retirement with Jay Kirkwood at Secure Financial Management. My name is Randy Cook, and each week Jay and I sit down here and talk through some of the issues of retirement planning and hopefully some of the questions that you have about all this. One of these days, you're going to walk out of that cubicle and you're going to say, see you later, I'm on my own. And then you walk out the door and go, holy cow, how's this going to work? So we want to help you with that whole deal and be prepared for that. So when you do walk out that door, you know what's coming and you know you have a plan for it. Well, part of this, Jay, is the information that we get. And when you follow financial media, right now, you're seeing a lot of people on Wall Street be kind of bullish. They're thinking the market is really going to soar the rest of the year. I don't know if that's true or not, but this is one guy who's on CNBC. His name is Ryan Dietrich. He's all sunshine and roses.
When you have a strong May like we just did, obviously, the summer months, which are normally pretty strong, actually, these next 3 months are usually pretty good. So we think new highs are coming. This market does not want to go down. I've been coming on for a while saying lows were in. We were saying that back in April. It sounded crazy then. Now it's looking more like it. But I think it's really important to know this market doesn't want to go down, kind of like Rocky.
Woo-woo! Full speed ahead. Hey, here we go. Yes, everybody all in. Okay. All right. We hear that stuff all the time, either one way or another. Somebody says it's all gloom and doom, or somebody says it's full speed ahead. How do we, as people getting ready for retirement, whether you're 3 months away, you're in retirement, you're 5 years away, how do we process all that and say, is anything here going to be helpful to us according to our decisions financially?
Well, I think the analogy this guy gave is really good.
Okay.
Because he's talking about it more in the sense of, oh, you can't keep this market down. Well, I've watched Rocky, and he takes some pretty good beatings during some of those different fights.
Yes, he did.
And so is that like the markets? Have we taken some beatings and some licks here and there? Yeah. And has it come back every time? So far, Rocky in the end, he figured it out and he was able to prevail, but not without some pain along the way. So great analogy really there.
So when we watch Rocky movies at my house, my wife, she gets so into it. She literally gets on her knees in front of the TV and goes, switch, Rocky, switch. And then he's switched to the other hand. Yeah, we get pretty emotional about Rocky. We can get emotional about our money too. And I know just watching this back and forth, it makes me want to go, should I make a change? I mean, we've got in July, we've got President Trump is going to, pull the rug out again and bring out the tariffs and all this kind of stuff. Should I make an adjustment? Should I pull back on my allocation and my risk? It's just a natural feeling to us.
Of course.
But that's the kind of stuff we kind of have to avoid, isn't it?
Well, it is. You're talking about making emotional decisions, right? And if you have a plan in place and an investment strategy in place, you need to have it in place considering there are going to be events. You are going to take a sucker punch somewhere that you're not expecting, like Rocky takes, right? That is going to happen. And we should have things in place so that when that punch happens, that we don't know when it's going to happen, we just know it will happen at some point. We don't have everything that we've saved exposed to that.
Gotcha. We talk about, phrases, bumper sticker phrases, maybe like an all-season portfolio, but it is true. You need to build something that's going to be made for if the market goes down 10%, 20%, 40% like it has, because what are the figures there, Jay? I mean, every year we see a correction. It's going to go down 10%, whether it jumps back up again.
I think it's most years, right? You see a 10% and a couple of down 5%. So hopefully we've got the 5% ones out of the way already.
Right.
Back in April, right? But it's like everything in life, right? I don't know about you. I think a lot of people are like this. You tend to look back at the past, right? Whatever your golden years were, 80s and 90s, early 2000, whatever it is, right? And you kind of look back and you're like, oh, those were the good old days, right? Times were simpler. They weren't. They were just as bad as they are now. It's just you look back and you remember the better stuff, right? You remember the good things and you're like, wow, look what the market's come from since the 80s, right? Well, geez, I tell you what, there were some pretty rough spots in there along the way, right? There was 87, there was the early 2000s, there was 2008, there was the COVID correct. And you kind of look back and you're like, well, the market's doubled in, whatever the time period is, 10 years, 15 years. Yeah. And you didn't feel that way in 2008, did you? Like, you thought the world was coming to an end. You didn't feel that way in 2001. You thought everything was all over. It's easy to look back and look at it as though everything was simpler and easier, when it's just like, that's what life has been. And probably it will continue to be like that as well.
Yeah. I mean, I got married in 1979, and I remember we tried to get a credit card and we couldn't get one. Jimmy Carter froze all the credit cards, and the only thing I could get was a Montgomery Ward credit card, that old department store. And
Have you still got it, Randy?
No, I do not have it. Neither. And Montgomery Ward is no longer. That is true. But interest rates at that time were like 17, 18%.
Yeah, right.
And that was a tough time. You go back to the 70s, you remember the inflation that took place back then. So we've lived through this before. We've lived through the ups and downs, and we're probably going to do it again. And you, during your retirement years, if you're in retirement for 20 years, just think if you retired, Jay, in 2000. Look what you've gone through in the last 25 years.
It was basically a lost decade, that first 10 years. And that's happened. And you know what? You survived and you're here. Like, you get through it. But the people that get through it in the best condition with the least stress are the people that have got plans in place, knowing that these sorts of things are going to happen.
Let's make you the Rocky of retirement here. You take a few hits, but you're going to stand up at the end. Give us a call. Let's sit down and build that retirement plan. Do the math on your retirement. Here it is. Retire210.com. That's our website. Go there today. Retire210.com. Down at the bottom of the page is a place for you to put some information, and that way we can reach out to you and say, okay, what is concerning you? What questions do you want answered? How can we help? And maybe that leads to us a meeting in the office, and we sit down and put some papers out on the table and see what we can do. You can also call us at 210-985-6200. 210-985-6200. All right, this is another example, Jay, of more advice that I hear on TV that I question. And this came from Barron's Roundtable. This is actually a public service that we do for our people here. You don't have to watch all those stupid Sunday morning shows.
That's right.
We will do it for you.
You can sleep in.
And we'll give you the highlights. And this is one of them. This is Elizabeth O'Brien, and she's talking about having cash on the sidelines, that emergency fund, and what she thinks you should use it for.
So as you're approaching retirement, you want to nail down your cash cushion. That means setting aside at least a year's worth of expenses in cash. And what I mean by that is the amount you need to pay the bills after accounting for Social Security and any other income sources you have. That way you don't have to sweat the volatility as much if you know that your near-term expenses, your essentials, are taken care of.
All right. So I heard that and I go, my idea of an emergency fund is if the roof leaks and I got to call a guy, if the water heater goes out, if the car goes bad, that's my emergency fund. She's saying that my cash account is what I use to fill in the gaps when the market goes down. Is that how you see a cash account? And aren't there other ways to do that?
Yeah, I mean, she's basically talking here about how do you make guaranteed income, but in the strategy she's using, it's not guaranteed, right? So that's basically what's trying to happen here, is that she's trying to find a way, how do we create pension-like income that we don't have to worry about being tied to the markets too much, and we kind of refresh this bucket every now and then, and then move forward. Can you do it that way? You can. Are there better ways to do it? I'd suggest that there are better ways to do it as well. And this is what tends to happen too, right? You look at your portfolio and say, I mean, what's a year's worth of expenses? It could be 60, 70, 80, maybe 100,000, depending on who you are, right? Then we've got to have that in a cash account that's paying us a whopping 0.1% on our investments, right?
Right.
And look, the truth is most of the time the markets go up. 7 or 8 times out of 10, the markets go up. And so you look at your account sitting there, not participating, because you've got to hedge your bets by having some cash on the side. And is it very efficient? Doesn't sound too efficient to me.
Right. Yeah. What is, in your experience, what do you find is a number that people feel comfortable with? Everybody's got a different number. Is it 20,000, 50,000?
As far as having cash aside, like a emergency fund? Okay.
Right.
Our recommendation is always 3 to 6 months of living expenses. Okay. So $5,000 is what? 15 to 30,000. Okay.
All right.
I do have a client in Colorado lovely lady. And she's got plenty of money. So like when she does this, I know she needs to do this to have a good night's sleep. So I just don't even bring it up anymore. She has $250,000 in her checking account.
That's what makes her feel happy. Oh my gosh.
And so eventually, like in the beginning, she's got a great story. Like she did work, but her grandfather had this patent on something that pays the family even generations later. So I mean, money's not really that big of an issue. And you basically get nothing in a checking account as far as interest goes. Mm-hmm. And after the first few years, I was like, oh, I get it. This is what it takes to make you sleep well at night. And she was like, yeah. I was like, all right, then that's the cost of a good night's sleep. So be it.
Wow. We all have a different number in mind. We'll figure out what your number, you figure out what your number is that makes you feel happy and all nice and cozy. That it's like a warm blanket. You got this over here. Okay, I get it. Give us a call. Let's talk through some of those details. Here's our number. Here's our website. Retire210.com. Retire210.com. Look at the bottom of the page. There's a place for you to put some information in there, and Jay and the team will reach out to you. We'll start the conversation. 210-985-6200 is our number. 210-985-6200. Well, Jay and I have done the story about, how much do you need for retirement? They always keep putting a new number on it. 1.2, 1.5, 1.8, $2 million, whatever it is. But what's interesting about that is every time they do that number, I don't think they take into consideration other assets, whether you have a pension, whether you have Social Security, and so many people do. So this particular story, actually, at Go Banking Rates did. And it said if you have $1.5 million and Social Security for a couple, how long would your money last? And it went to every single state, all 50 states, and the average is 40 to 50 years. All this fear about people running out of money. And if you were to follow this 40 to 50 years, I would think that would make people feel pretty good about themselves, Jay. And in Texas, it says 47 years. 46 years. So I know that's going to be different for everybody, but that made me feel a little bit better about things.
Yeah, we talk about the number a lot, right? The number that you need to retire, and we basically come to the same conclusion every time. It's nonsense,
it's
right?
Nonsense,
Because what does it mean for who, right?
Right.
And 1.5 million plus your Social Security, yeah, that's going to give you a good life. But again, it comes back to who is this person that they're talking about? Because I'm guessing that they've created an avatar of a couple that has whatever expenses, and who is that? Because we have clients, that money wouldn't last them 40, 50 years. It would be infinite. They would never run out of money at that, right?
Got it.
We have clients that would probably last 5 years on that as well, right?
Okay.
And this is why I know we sound like a broken record on this, but your situation is different to the person next to you. Right? It's different to your neighbor's situation. And that's why the planning process is so important. For a lot of people, 1.5 would be great, right? Plus the Social Security, they'll live the retirement that they want to live. They will. Other people, that won't be the case.
Right. And one of the things that does show in this particular article as it goes through all 50 states, okay, if you were to retire in Kansas or Mississippi or Oklahoma, your money's going to last 50 years. If you retire in Hawaii or Massachusetts or California, it might last 15 or 20 years because of the cost.
What if you're not going to stay in that state either?
Yeah, there's a good point. Yeah.
And so just earlier this week, I flew up to Tulsa for the day to see one of our clients up there, had lunch with him, caught up with him, and we were chatting over lunch because I was saying to him about Tulsa because he's from San Antonio. And I asked him about Tulsa and I said, what's the deal? Like Tulsa, like it was a nice place. Most people are not retiring to Tulsa, though, right? He's like, well, our only child, our daughter, is in Tulsa. And so when I retired, we wanted to come and be close to her. I was like, it makes sense. And in the same breath, he said, and they've only been there about 3 years since he retired. In the same breath, he said, but that's one of the things I want to talk to you about. She just accepted a job in Delaware.
Okay. Dang it.
And I said, this could happen again, right? Like maybe she doesn't stay in Delaware. And he's like, yeah, we're going to have a bit of a discussion about how we're going to handle this.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know if they're going to go to Delaware or not, but Delaware is more expensive than Oklahoma, I can tell you that.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. You're listening to Clear Skies Retirement with Jay Kirkwood at Secure Financial Management. Online, you can find us at retire210.com. 210.com. Let's figure out how long your money's going to last. But and let's not use the financial media to figure that out. Let's do the math on your retirement, what you spend per month, what you want to do in retirement, and how that all figures together. Retire210.com is our website. Our phone number, 210-985-6200. 210-985-6200. Now, you're listening to a radio show right now about retirement. If you're getting close to retirement, I'll bet this is just one thing that you're doing to figure out what you want to do for retirement. You go online, you look at things, you watch television shows, you search on Google, what can I do about retirement? Well, some people will go to YouTube, they'll go to TikTok, they'll go to all these different financial influencers out there. And this is Larry Sprung, and he says, some of the advice could be good, but some of it not so much.
When you're scrolling and looking at some of these folks that are giving the advice, you have to be very careful about who you're taking the advice from. We get calls all the time. Hey, I saw this on TikTok. Should I do it? And you know what? There are certain things on there that, generally speaking, they're not bad. They're just not right for everyone. And then there are other things that say, we've seen headlines like, you shouldn't put money in a 401k, put it into a whole life insurance policy. I don't think that works for most people, and you have to be careful.
All right, so trying to sift through what's right for you, even what's true and what's not.
That's right.
Do you have people that come into you and say, Jay, I just heard about this investment idea or this particular strategy, and you kind of, inside, you're rolling your eyes, but you have to sift through that, don't you?
Yeah, every week. This is not uncommon what he's talking about. Okay. I think he's spot on with it. So you've got to think about this in the terms of the social media universe, right? What are they trying to achieve? Viral videos, things that get lots of eyeballs. So the more dramatic or sensational things that you say, the more attention you're going to get. It's not the boring stuff that we recommend to people, like make sure you have 3 to 6 months of living expenses aside, and let's make sure that we've got your assets allocated the right way for your risk tolerance. That's not stuff that gets views on social media. It's the important stuff, but that's not the stuff that gets views on social media. And what he's talking about is that most of the things that get the views, most of the things that go viral, it is the wild, crazy stuff. It doesn't just happen with finances. I see them all the time for aviation. And it's someone saying something. I'm like, if you do that, you're going to die. Like that's what's going to happen. Like that's how off the recommendation is, right?
Wow.
And some of this stuff that the financial influences or whatever that you want to say, is there snippets here and there that you're like, yeah, that's good advice. Yeah, but that tends to not be the stuff that really gets the attention. And yeah, I couldn't agree with him more.
So here's what I am so victimized by this, or I fall into this all the time. Anytime there's a post, a video or something that says how you boomers had it so much easier than us, and I'll go, really? And I listen and I get all angry and I come home and I dump on my wife and my daughter, and they look at me and they go, Dad, they do that just to get your ire up and just to do exactly what it did. It got you all upset, and then you make a post and you comment on it, and they get paid for that.
Yeah.
So
well,
it's
there's a song from the 80s. I think it's by a band called Mike and the Mechanics, right? I just remember listening. I used to work on my dad's fruit shop when I was in elementary school back in Australia, and I play music, and so you hear the same songs over and over, and it's like every generation blames the one before. Right?
Yeah.
It's always that way, but now they've just got another avenue that they can do it to you, Randy, through your phone.
They're getting me. Yeah. They're getting me good. I just want to reach through it and go, do you know that I didn't have a vacuum cleaner, and I went and I picked up the lint on the floor and I was the vacuum cleaner? I had milk cartons for furniture. We put cardboard boxes and blankets over the top, and that was my end table. And I really get crazy on this.
Hey, I think you could start a channel called The Angry Boomer and do reply videos.
That makes total sense. The Angry Boomer. Okay, I'm writing that down. We may have come across something
That's
here.
a freebie for you.
Okay. Well, what we would like for you to do is give us a call. I mean, the reason that we have this show is to introduce you to Jay and say, look, if you don't know where to go and you're getting up toward retirement, maybe it's 3 years away. You see your friends start to retire and you go, all right, who's going to help me with this? And that's why we have this show, is to say, give us a call and let's, for no charge, we will take a look at where you are right now, what your questions are. And Jay, when we talk about our Get Me to Retirement 5-step process, it really is kind of an informal thing. It's an information gathering kind of an exercise, isn't it? At first, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I'd even simplify it more. It's a chat. It's a chat like you and I chat, right? It's just like, hey, what's going on? What have you got to work with? How can we help you out? What are you trying to achieve? Now let's start building the framework. Yeah.
And we would love to have that opportunity. Give us a look on our website, retire210.com. And down at the bottom of the page, you're going to see a place where you can put some information in there. And Jay, also, we have a minute or so here. Your book is there as well. And tell me a little bit about that. People can pick up the book.
Yeah, my book, Wall Street's Game. You know, what prompted me to write that? How long ago was it? It was 5 or 6. It took forever to write. But it came out a couple of years ago. It took me like 5 or 6 years to write. It was what I had experienced working in different parts of the financial industry. And the things that happen that the general public don't understand, and the investments they get put into that have ridiculous fees on it, the proprietary products that they get pushed into that are really better for the business and not for the consumer. Look, I hate that this is the case, but this industry has a bad reputation. It has a bad reputation for a reason. You know why? Because people steal other people's money sometimes. Like that all of those things that you can do to help protect yourself from the negative stuff associated with this industry.
When you go to the doctor, you go to the hospital, you get put into a system, this healthcare system.
That's right.
When you go to get your car fixed, you're put into that system. When you get ready to retire, they put you in this system. And it's not necessarily built for your benefit. They're making money off of you. Yeah, and we need to figure out to put you more in charge of all of this, and that's all in Jay's book. So it's right there. You can pick that up as well. Retire210.com, our website. 210-985-6200. 210-985-6200. Give us a call and let's sit down and talk about your retirement today. And remember to have this podcast delivered straight to your favorite podcast platform by hitting like, follow, or the subscribe button. Thanks again for listening to Clear Skies Retirement, and we'll see you next time.
Investment advisory services offered through investment advisory representatives at Secure Financial Management, a registered investment advisor. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed are not designed nor intended to be applicable to any person's individual circumstances. It should not be considered as investment advice, nor does it constitute a recommendation that anyone engage in or refrain from a particular course of action. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments can fluctuate, and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Secure Financial Management is licensed in your state, please contact their office. Secure Financial Management is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Wholesalers Insurance. Jamin J. Kirkwood, Texas Insurance License number 1421850.